Hi guys, and welcome back to the kkep project for another reaction of mine, and I know I'm doing this a little bit too soon, but I'd like to get these over with because I have so many to do. Not to mention all the others you guys have told me to react to while I've been going along over the past week or months or so. But this one you guys have been expecting a lot, and I've not really been looking forward to it. But I also have another one I'm not looking forward to, and I've got a set date for that one, so I'm not looking forward to it either. But this one is, well, the one you guys have been, well, one of you has been expecting the most. I know one of you have. This is my reaction to when heroes aren't there to save you. Now, originally, I was going to react to it like I did with Equestria Girls. I was going to just listen to it, or do an intro, listen to it, stop, or do an intro, stop recording, listen to it while not recording, and then you get my initial review or reaction to it. But I feel since this is supposed to be a sad story, you are supposed to get my initial breakdown, and this is a reaction. So, you're supposed to get my initial breakdown. Like, you're supposed to see my reaction all the way through. This is not a review, so I have to do this, but the reason this is I was waiting until I bought Bandicam to do it, because I knew if I was doing it that way, I'm kind of screwed, and I have to sit here for 2.5 hours. Now, I do have a playlist set up of all the videos I could find on the chapters. So, okay, I'm kind of ready for this. The first 2 minutes of this video I had to skip over because they were really nothing about the fanfic. It was just him blabbering on about something that no one needed to hear. Also, before I do go into this is, I don't own anything. I do not own the background picture. I do not own the video itself. The only thing I do own in this video is probably my voice, and even then there's somehow in the world I don't own that. So here we go. My reaction to when heroes aren't there to save you. Now, hopefully I stopped at a good place to where the story will pick up, but let's find out. Here we go. And like all reactions, I'm going to shut up, and you might hear me blabber on about something in the middle of the video. And this one shouldn't lag, because it's only audio files, so let's go. Whew.
It's a tragedy, sad, dark, random slice of life. Which doesn't sound like you should be hearing good things from stuff like that, but there's been comments like, "Oh, better than uh,
Don't say the comments.
fuck." That one sad story with Rainbow Dash, the crying,
My Little
and
Dashie.
oh, so sad, and I'm blanking on the name. Let's go to my videos, and it is called My Little Dashie. Yes, sadder than My Little Dashie. So
I
be
thought I
ready
got
to
through his
cry.
blabbering.
Apparently, it is 2,000 words. I'm just gonna read the first chapter,
That's actually short.
and this has been way too long of a thing, and I'm paused in between, and blah blah blah. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Also, just quick update. I have a desk now with my new computer, so everything is set up. It'll be much easier for me to get to reading. Everyone has jobs at the house. I'm alone right now. This is probably the best time I could find. I've been feeling really shitty
Read the
recently.
fanfic.
Seeing as a lot of my friends are leaving, and people that are more than friends leaving, or person, I guess. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Let's turn my Skype to do not disturb so that people won't fucking talk to me. And let's get started.
Just read it, please. Thank you.
When heroes aren't here to save you, Chapter 1,
Don't say with me volume.
and so it begins. Edited by your antagonist,
Don't you dare screw with me.
known as Veg
Give me a
K.
second. Alright, I think I fixed that problem. Maybe not. I might have just broke YouTube.
03.
And somehow I break the recording. But oh well. Alright. Let's get back into it. It's not. Let's hope it doesn't break. Also, guys, I've got a drink with me, so you might hear me take some sips of a drink. So sorry about that.
The little Phillies in Ponyville Elementary had their minds set on one thing today, and one thing only: summer. Scootaloo was the most excited because today was the day she would become the prodigy and student of her hero, Rainbow Dash. It had been 6 months after she had been removed from the custody of her abusive parents, and life in the foster home wasn't going so well. She hoped that if Rainbow Dash saw how determined she was, maybe, just maybe, she would adopt her. But she rationalized with herself the odds of that happening anytime soon. If she couldn't train with Rainbow Dash, then her whole summer would practically be ruined because Apple Bloom was with her family to Appaloosa for another Apple family reunion, and Sweetie Belle would be going with her sister to Camelot to help with her sister's new fashion line.
I thought Sweetie Belle
So she
sucked
was
at that.
determined to make sure Rainbow Dash would become her personal flight trainer. No one in the world was more important to her than this Pegasus, and just talking of her for a brief "What's up, Rainbow Dash?" was enough to brighten her whole day and spread the impenetrable smile across the little filly's face. Ugh, why wouldn't time go by faster? Scootaloo thought as she watched the clock slowly tick from each minute. To Scootaloo, it seemed like every minute seemed to go by slower and slower.
And this is what
Hey,
happens when you're
Scootaloo, what's
bored.
keeping you down? Appleloom asked. I want to get out of here so bad. I gotta get to Rainbow Dash to start my training. Oh, well, school's done in about an hour, Scoots. I
Hmm.
reckon that after yearbook signing and recess, you'll be feeling much better. Besides, you don't have to do anything other than have fun, Appleloom said in an attempt to cheer up her fellow crusader. I know. It's just that school has been so lame all year. I just want to do something cool,
Isn't that
and I
all
want to do it
schools?
now. Yeah, I hear you, but let's have some fun while us Crusaders are still together. It's going to be boring without the two of you all summer. Now, come on, Scoots. Let's go sign some yearbooks. Oh, all right, Scootaloo said with a sigh as she went with her friend. After the passing of an hour, school finally ended, and Scootaloo couldn't be more excited. Enthusiasm off the charts as she pondered the type of training Rainbow Dash had in store for her. She said goodbye to her classmates, and sang the Cutie Marks Crusaders theme sung privately with Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom before saying goodbye to both of them for the summer. Hopping onto her scooter, the filly took off with a blaze of speed in search of a role model and soon-to-be flight coach. Scootaloo eventually arrived at Ponyville Square, where Rainbow Dash was normally spotted. But as of right now, she couldn't see a cloud in the sky, which means that she had already done with her job. Scootaloo sighed and her head dropped in sadness and continued to walk. Hey, what's with the sound, you silly filly? It's time to turn that frown upside down. Don't you know it's summer? Scootaloo raised her head to see the Ponyville's pink primer party pony standing right in front of her. Oh, Pinkie Pie! Scootaloo knew that if anyone would know where Rainbow Dash would be, it would be Pinkie Pie. After all, they were always pulling pranks together and when they had the chance. I'm glad I got you. Do you have any idea where Rainbow Dash is? I need to see her. Hmm. Pinkie pondered the question, placing a hoof on her chin. Last I remember, I think she said something about visiting with Applejack over at Sweet Apple
How
Acres.
does audio
I think it was for
files?
that Iron Pony competition a while back. Said something about unfinished business. Um, and then after that, she took off.
How
Now it's
does?
last I heard of her. All right. Thanks, Pinkie Pie. Gulu grinned immediately took off Lakers. Hopefully she won't be too busy with Applejack to see me, Scootaloo thought as she whizzed off to Sweet Apple Acres. Scootaloo finally arrived at Sweet Apple Acres and saw two familiar ponies racing. Scootaloo was in awe at her idol as she saw Rainbow's mane flowing in the wind, as each of her legs propelled her forward, each hoof coming down like clockwork, one after another. Rainbow Dash was the most majestic pony to ever grace Ponyville in Scootaloo's mind. The chromatic-maned thrill-seeker was her idol, and Scootaloo was determined to let Rainbow Dash know by all means possible. Ha! Beat you again, Apple Smack. That's what, the third time today? Rainbow Dash bragged to Applejack, an inflection of pride evident in her voice. Ha! Y'all wish it was the third time today. It's the second time, and that's out of 4 other times I beat you. Yay! Rainbow Dash! Woohoo! Both ponies turned their head to see a young orange Pegasus jumping up and down, punching the air above. Well, looks like you won't be needing me for a while. You got your fan club to worry about now. It's the same time next week, Rainbow? You're on! Rainbow Dash exclaimed before turning her attention to her number one fan. Hey, Scootaloo buzzed for Rainbow Dash on her scooter, moving that Rainbow Dash couldn't even finish a sentence. Wow, that's some pretty impressive speed you got there, kid. Maybe the summer winks will finally get you off the ground.
How
Really
does
think so?
Ophiles lag?
Scootaloo said, with her eyes lit up and a smile spread across her face. She couldn't believe that her idol, the fastest flyer in Ponyville, just gave her a compliment on her speed. You betcha, Scoots. Speed like that in the sky would put me out of business for sure, Rainbow Dash said with a bit of modesty. Nah, no way, Dash. The weather and sky itself would be 80% lamer if you weren't there to make it awesome.
I get it.
Even though Scootaloo was trying to flatter Rainbow, the compliment wouldn't have been any more honest if her life depended on it. Aw, thanks, Scoots. You're alright, kid. You know that? Anyways, what's up? What brought you over here? Did you come to beat Applejack? Did you come to see me beat Applejack? Well, yes and no. Scootaloo bit her lip nervously as she dug her hoof into the ground. Quick question, Rainbow Dash. What are you doing this summer? Well, actually, nothing really. Just gonna be preparing for some races if they ever come up. Other than that, probably sleeping and trying to get the lame summer done with.
Well,
Scootaloo couldn't
seems
have been
nice.
happier to hear those words. Her face began to light up again almost immediately after. Really? That's great! Well, about you not doing anything. Anyways, Rainbow Dash, I have something super important to ask you. It's very, very, very important to me. Alright, kid, fire away, Rainbow Dash said with a bit of get on with it in her attitude. Rainbow Dash, Scootaloo gulped. I want to be your apprentice. I want to be taught everything you know about flying. I want to be as awesome and cool as you are. And I'm willing to do anything to prove that I'm worthy of your teaching. Scootaloo's brow furrowed with determination as she divulged the last part. Rainbow Dash was stern-faced as she gave her admirer a once-over. Scootaloo prepared for rejection, turning her head from the scooter when Rainbow Dash said with a low tone, "Anything?" Scootaloo turned around and nodded, causing a grin to curl across Rainbow Dash's lips. Alright, kid, I'll teach you. But I'll need to see you're ready for the type of training I'm going to give you.
This ain't gonna be good.
Scootaloo almost exploded with excitement by what she heard. Oh, thank you! Thank you! Rainbow Dash, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Scootaloo dove into a hug with Rainbow Dash when a hoof
How
put
does...
back. Hey, I didn't see your my yet. tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., we'll start our trial. So
Quite
get some
early.
rest, because you're going to need it for what we're going to be doing tomorrow. If you're late by even a millisecond, I'm leaving. Got
Pretty
it?
strict rules.
Sir, yes, sir. Scootaloo said with a clumsy salute of affirmation. That's what I like to hear. Now get out of here. Get some rest. And remember, tomorrow morning, edge of Everfree Forest, 7 a.m. Sharp. Scootaloo nodded, jumping onto her scooter, headed for the foster home. When she arrived, she saw the other two kids in the foster home eating dinner. Hey, Scrootaloo, a little orange pony said in an attempt to annoy her.
I'm not going to like this kid, am I?
Oh, hey, Zealous, Scootaloo replied. She didn't even pay attention to the filly's insult as her mind was still in the clouds, contemplating on how fun it was going to be being trained by her idol. Hey, Avion, Scootaloo called to the gray Pegasus.
Zealous and Avion.
Hi, Scootaloo. The little pony stuttered nervously. I,
Fluttershy clone?
fixed your scooter this morning. It had a loose bolt on the wheel because Zealous rode it this morning. Hey, I told you not to tell her, you turd. Zealous blurted out. I'm, I'm so sorry. I was just wanted to help out Scootaloo since she made me a blanket in school a couple days back.
Scootaloo can
So I
weave?
felt I would have to return the favor, even though it wasn't much. Well, thanks, Avion. I was wondering why it felt a little different today, but I won't be needing it the next few weeks. Oh, really? Why is that? Avion asked shyly. Well, I've been hoofed by the one and only Rainbow Dash to be your princess this summer, and she was going to be teaching me how to fly.
She didn't
Scootaloo
pick you.
said with her head held high and pride in her voice. Wow, that's great. You don't think she may adopt you, do you? Ah, heck no. I was just going to be her temporary prodigy, but I'm hoping she will. She's the best pony ever, and I would be honored to have her as my mom. So
There's
that's why
many other...
I'm
I'm
going
not
to
going to say
take
anything.
whatever she dishes out to me. You adopted?
You're not adopted
Zealous
either, bro.
burst out into laughter at the thought. Again, Scootaloo ignored the insult and continued talking to Evian. I made you a sandwich, just how you liked it. It's on the table over there.
I can
Evian
see where
pointed a
this is
hoof at the
going.
grilled
Where
daffodil
this is going
sandwich on the
quite
counter
fast.
behind her. Well, gee, Evian, what would I do without you? Scootaloo said as she hugged her foster friend and headed off to eat her sandwich. Evian blushed, a dopey smile playing across his lips,
Knew it coming.
while Zealous, on the other hoof, almost gagged. Scootaloo ravenously gobbled her sandwich in 3 bites.
Doesn't Scootaloo like Pipsqueak, though?
That's good, Avian. I wish I could always have you cook me stuff, 'cause that stuff I make is total crap. Oh, you're welcome, Scootaloo. It was nothing. You should probably get to bed, 'cause you have your training tomorrow, right? Heck yeah, I do. I can't wait. I don't know how I'm gonna get to sleep, but I know I need to. Good night, Avion. Scootaloo smiled as she went to her room, and I don't know if that's just missing from the story or what. It just says and then cuts off. Good night, Scootaloo. I love you. Avion's last words fell deaf of the ears of
Knew it
Scootaloo as she
coming.
shut the door behind her. But she didn't care at the moment. She was ready to fly and spend time with the pony she admired the most. Morning came quickly. As Scootaloo got up at 6 and arrived at the edge of the Everfree Forest at 6:30, currently there was no pony present. But after a few moments, she saw a familiar blue and rainbow coat approaching her rapidly. So, you said anything, right? Rainbow Dash said with a serious
I
tone.
don't like that word.
Yeah, anything, Rainbow Dash. I will prove to you. She had no time to react as a sudden force began lifting off the ground at high speeds. Rainbow Dash! What's happening? They kept ascending and ascending till Scootaloo could see all of Ponyville from under her. Rainbow Dash held Scootaloo's mane by her mouth, and with the room she had left in her mouth, she spat, "First lying lesson, kid." Scootaloo hoped that she had heard wrong, but as her bad luck would have it, she didn't. Rainbow released her mane, and Scootaloo flailed around helplessly as she descended at increasingly high speeds.
She can't
She was
fly
screaming
yet.
and still in disbelief that her idol would do this. Did I do something wrong? Does she hate me? She didn't know. All that she knew was that she better start flapping her wings, and fast. The filly flailed around for some more before instinct took over and she turned to the right side up, spreading her wings and began gliding. She still wasn't sure how to brake in midair, or how to maneuver left and right, so she kept ascending at a rapid pace, but balanced herself enough so she could see where she was going to land. She aimed for a rough spot in the sand, as she thought that it would give her the most cushion to land on.
Nope.
She tilted her wings as best she could, but she overshot the sand and instead did a barrel roll into the grass below. Scootaloo skidded across the grass, catching dirt in her mouth. As she kept going, she even did a couple flips. Eventually, she rolled around and caught herself even though she was pretty bruised up. Rainbow Dash landed right in front of the terrified filly, and with a tone of pride that Scootaloo lived, she said, "Welcome to Flying 101,
I don't
my princess."
I don't think Rainbow was taught how to fly this
Okay.
way.
I'm really liking this story so far. Trial and error. Note, I realize some of the grammar isn't the best, but please understand that my English is second language. I could really use an editor if someone would be willing to. He already got an editor, but this is unedited.
Okay.
Did they not edit the second chapter? Interesting. Yep. The second chapter is unedited.
These intros are killing my
I could
emotion
really use
factor.
it. Please PM me or leave me a comment. Otherwise, just deal with it, please. Okay. Never mind. This chapter is actually shorter than the last one by 600 words. So I might be able to get this done a lot faster and be able to upload it tonight, which is the 18th. If it's not up the 18th, it probably won't be up until Monday. Okay.
Read, please.
It was as if the fact that Rainbow just put her life in danger didn't matter to her at all. When Scootaloo heard the words of acknowledgement, she immediately got up and ignored the aches in her knees and face and smiled a wide, dirt-filled smile.
This filly's insane.
Alright, consider that the easiest part of your course, because for the next 8 weeks will be the toughest of your life, and this week we're going to get you to fly. Now, what you did there earlier was gliding. I don't like gliding, and you won't either. Got
I
it?
don't like gliding.
Sir, yes, sir, said Scootaloo.
Isn't it, sir? No.
Right, now give me 50 push-ups to start out with.
What?
It was the afternoon, and Scootaloo felt torn. Her muscles were aching, and she already threw up twice. Alright, I'm impressed you made it this far, so since you're in the zone, let's see what we can do about those tiny wings of yours.
Rainbow,
Rainbow
what is
Dash
wrong
unzipped
with
her
you?
duffel bag and pulled out weights that looked like boards, each being 20 pounds. I want both of these lifted 50 times.
Rainbow!
Scootaloo looked in horror as she
My
saw the two
God.
20-pound board weights. Now, she was able to put up with a lot of the exercise, and she didn't complain. Until now. But Rainbow Dash, I don't think I... A sudden feeling of force hit her in the back of the head, interrupting her complaint. You don't think anything, you worthless piece of shit. You just do. Now quit your sobbing and lift those weights. And since you're whining, instead of 50, I want you to do 60. Double time. Let's go. Scootaloo almost couldn't believe what just happened and what she was hearing. But she stayed strong for Rainbow Dash, and with one lift after the other, she began to cringe in pain. Her wings were aching and her body was screaming to stop, but her mind was telling her to shut up and deal with it. After 49, she began to slow down with each lift, and Rainbow Dash saw it and immediately took action. Why are you slowing down, huh? I thought you said that you were going to prove to me that you are worthy of training with me, and no apprentice of mine is a quitter. These words penetrated Scootaloo's rage like a jagged knife. Rage and adrenaline began to pour out of her like open wound, and she let out a wail much like a battle cry and began lifting the weights one after the other, twice as fast now. She got to 120 before she threw up yet again. She then dropped the weights and collapsed onto the ground. Not bad, kid. Not bad at all, Rainbow said with a proud grin on her face. You really think so? Scootaloo asked as she
I'm
struggled to
surprised
get
she
up.
can still stand.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Now go home and get some rest, Squirt. You'll need it. But I don't think you need to tell you that anymore. Scootaloo nodded. Then she got up and headed home, despite the fact that she had been mentally assaulted by her idol. She cast that all aside, knowing that today she made Rainbow Dash proud, and no amount of pain, blood, or vomit would even dent that happiness and the acknowledgement she felt at that very moment. She made
insane.
Rainbow Dash proud of her today, and she intended to keep it that way for a long time. Scootaloo got home around 11:30 p.m., and when she got there, she was exhausted. She could probably fall asleep on the porch if she didn't get in.
I could see why.
As she walked in, she was greeted by a familiar face, but this face she would rather not deal with right about now. It was Mrs. Burns, the mother of the kids at the foster home. Oh, hi, Mrs. Burns.
Avion and Zealous are
Sorry
brothers.
for coming in so late. I was, studying at the library. Scootaloo tried her best to sound convincing, but
Nice
her
lie.
tired of an aching body was preventing any type of creative or logical excuse from seeping into her brain. Now, you do know that you're supposed to be home by 10. And do I look like I'm a clueless idiot?
Yes.
I know more about you than you think. So you said you were studying at the library when you always come home from school saying you wish books were burnt at the stake along with the pony who invented them? Doesn't really convince me that you were at the library the whole time. So let's say it again. Where were you? Mrs. Burns was running out of patience, and Scootaloo could see it. But at this point, Scootaloo was just so tired and angry, she didn't care what would happen to her, but she had to say this. Mrs. Burns, though you may be my foster mom, you aren't, and you never will be my real mom. So therefore, I don't have to tell you shit about where I've been and who I've been with. Scootaloo had her face down the whole time. Knowing what was about to happen, she dared to look up, despite her better judgment. As soon as she did, she saw Mrs. Burns walking away, and was a bit surprised by this. But not as surprised as the way she felt when two giant hooves buck her in the stomach, sending a little Pegasus flying across the room and
Jesus
hitting a
Christ, what is wrong with this story?
Consider that a warning, you little shit. Next time, I'll take your fucking life. So until you're adopted, I fucking own you. Got it? Scootaloo couldn't answer as the world around her started to swirl. She was bleeding from her mouth and her esophagus was filling up with blood as she was fainting from lack of
Where's
oxygen.
the police?
As she was going down,
This is
she noticed the
child
gray figure
brutality?
reached down at her. But she was only able to make out the gray figure before she was swallowed by the darkness.
My God!
Scootaloo woke up around 2:20 a.m. and she noticed that she wasn't in her room, but in Avion's and Zealous' room. She was in Avion's bed, too. She sat up immediately and cringed at the pain. She clenched her stomach and she let out a little yelp that was loud enough to wake up Avion sleeping on the carpet floor below her. Scootaloo, you're awake.
Is Avion going to be the
Are
only
you
nice
okay?
character in this story?
What is it? Oh, please, tell me you're all right.
No,
Avion
your
had a
mother
very
just
concerned
assaulted
look on
her.
his face, and he was on the verge of tears. Yeah, Avion, I'm fine. But what's with the ice packs under my wings and the bandages on my body? Oh, well, you see, I heard the argument that you and Mrs. Burns were having, and I had to come see what was happening. But when I got there, Miss Burns left, and you had shards of glass in your back and your head, blood coming out of your mouth, and a giant bruise in your stomach. That's when I took out
This is
any mouse
child
supplies I could
brutality!
find to make sure that you could stop bleeding and numb the pain. Here, take another painkiller while you're up. It'll help you go back to sleep. Evian then handed Scootaloo a glass of water and some ibuprofen.
That exists in
Scootaloo
Equestria?
drank the pills and looked up at Evian, who was still looking like he was about to cry. Evian, why are you worried? It'll be fine. Thanks to you, anyway.
God, this story
Quit
got
looking
dark
so
fast.
worried. Scootaloo tried to reassure him with a smile, but it was to no avail, as the little gray Pegasus looked like he was about to cry even more. Evian, what is it? You're making me worried now. At that moment, Evian slumped down and put his head on her shoulder and his arms around her and began to weep softly.
You
but
can't
with a
notice
lot
he's
of
in love
tears
with you,
flowing.
woman?
Oh, this is actually cute.
How do you get... Okay, it's cute, yes, but...
Vic, you're the only friend I actually have here who talks to me.
There's
You're the
only
only one
three
here
of
that
you.
talks to me, period.
There's only three
All
of
the
you!
other kids at school make fun of me and beat me up for whatever reason.
Okay,
My
never
parents
mind.
took their own lives because they didn't want to support me, so
Wow!
I can't lose you.
This
I-
kid has got problems.
Just can't, Scootaloo. I can't. I won't lose the only thing that makes life worth living. At this point, the poor little white Pegasus' throat was burning because he had so many tears to let out, but couldn't because everyone was sleeping.
I-
That's why I'm so worried about you. When I saw you with your eyes rolled back and your head and mouth bleeding, it reminded me of the way my parents looked that day they killed themselves, and how it was too late to save them. I wasn't about to let the same thing happen to you. I told myself to stay up and keep watch over you, but I fell asleep. I was so scared, Scootaloo. I don't want to let you go. I don't want... I just don't. Oh, Scootaloo, please don't go.
This is
love
chapter
you.
2, right?
And if you leave, I'll be all alone, all over again. Scootaloo could not believe what she had just heard. She had never heard words that told her that she was the reason that a pony lived. She then reached out and hugged Evian back. Oh, Evian, that is the sweetest thing any pony has ever told me.
Well, with Rainbow
I
not
promise
helping.
I'll be okay. And I promise I'll never leave you. Come on, sleep up here with me.
Foreshadowing
The floor is
much?
really cold. Really?
What's the floor made out of?
I
Concrete?
mean, are you okay? I don't know if you're still in pain or not, and I don't want to hurt you. Yeah, it's all right.
Unless you
I don't
have
mind.
nightmares of kicking things,
No,
and I think
come
she's fine.
I'm tired. Evian then crawled into his bed with his pillow and blanket and turned the opposite way, as to give Scootaloo some breathing room. Just then, he felt Scootaloo's arm bring him closer to her, and he almost melted and he turned. Oh my god. This is adorable.
He has to stop! Killing the immersion,
And
but
he
it's worth
almost
it.
melted as he turned his head to see Scootaloo with his eyes closed and a wide smile across her face. This, and Scootaloo snugging with him, was almost enough to make him cry tears of joy. But instead, he smiled, closed his eyes, and went to bed. Oh my god. That.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop right there and give an initial, my reaction right there. Okay, I know I'm supposed to read the rest of the story, and I will get on with it after this, though. What is this foster home? A prison? I mean, Jesus Christ. That is child brutality. What just happened is child brutality. You don't do that. That pony could get arrested for punching her, and she has no rights to punch her. She literally doesn't. Okay, law does say that foster parent would own Scootaloo technically, but she hasn't. And she's supposed to look after Scootaloo. That's her main job, yes. But because you, even though you own her, you can't beat the living crap out of her. My God! I hope Mrs. Burns dies at the end of this story. I literally do. Oh my God! I didn't expect this story to get bad in chapter 2. But okay, I'm gonna stop and keep going because I know it's gonna get worse and worse and worse. I'm laughing at it. I don't know why. Okay. Alright, let's get back into it. I'll be right back with the next episode.
Flight. Oh, that's good. That's a nice chapter.
This ain't gonna be well.
Because you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Rainbow's going to beat the crap out of
Okay,
Scootaloo.
I doubt this one is going to be as sappy as the last one, if that's what you're looking
Please.
for. But it's still going to be pretty good. I might pause a little bit because I have food next to me. It's too hot to eat.
Why are
right
you
now.
eating while...
But, yeah. So I decided to not waste time. So yeah, let's get started. The next morning came, and Scootaloo couldn't have been more excited to start her training. Oh my God, really?
You're joking, right?
Couldn't be more excited, even though
even
every
after
little bit of shit she received the previous day.
My thoughts exactly, bro.
She got called a shit by everyone she knew other than that one kid.
Hey, you've got a point.
She got home late. She got beat up
crap
by
her foster
idol.
mother.
Or I don't know if she really got beat up by
Just read the story, man.
But she still got
Isn't my job the reaction here?
hit by her. And
hold on, guys.
Enough ranting. She sprang out of bed and onto the carpet. Upon doing this, she forgot that yet again she had just been kicked in the stomach last night. She bent over and cringed in pain. She hoped that the training today wouldn't be as brutal as it was yesterday.
Please.
Because if she had to push herself like she did in the condition she was, she knew that she wouldn't make it.
She's gonna
She looked
die
over
by
at
the
the
end of
clock
this. I
and
can see
almost
it
fainted.
coming.
The clock read 6:50, and she was supposed to be there by 7. She galloped out the front door and hopped onto her scooter carefully. Even with that, as soon as she got on, she took off as fast as she could, trying not to flare up her pain even more. She clenched her stomach all the while staring as best as she could with one hoof. Every bump of the road slowly sent a surge of pain up her body to her stomach. Regardless, she ignored the pain and focused on the road ahead of her, and set off for the edge of Edger-Free Forest, hoping that Rainbow Dash would still be there and she wouldn't notice that she was late. It was 7:03 a.m.
You're
when
screwed.
Scootaloo finally arrived.
You are screwed!
Scootaloo looked around for Rainbow Dash, but no sign of her. With her head held down, she began to walk back the direction she came. "You're late." A familiar voice penetrated Scootaloo's ears like a harpoon.
Oh God.
She turned around to see an angry Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash noticed the bandages on Scootaloo and raised an eyebrow. "Bandages? You're not going soft on me now, are you?" As she asked this, she somewhat gave a playful kick to Scootaloo's injuries. Wow, what a bitch.
Literally.
Scootaloo winced, but she did her best to put on a smile and said, "Me? No, of course not. I just, have them there for, circulation purposes."
Yeah.
Scootaloo was lying through her teeth, and Rainbow Dash could easily see it. She squinted at the filly for a few seconds and gave a grin, much like the one that she had seen the day before. "Circulation purposes, huh?
You
Then
shouldn't
you
have said
won't
that one.
mind if I do this?" Rainbow Dash rammed Scootaloo, who then felt a surge of extreme pain emit from her stomach, and let out a yelp as she fell to the grass, clenching her stomach in pain and agony. "Uh-huh, that's what I thought. Now that you've learned your lesson not to lie to me, I think we can begin our real training. See that hill to the left? That's where I learned to fly. And that's where you're going to learn to fly
Bull.
today."
That's a lie.
Despite being in so much pain, Scootaloo very
You were
much
taught how to
liked the
fly
idea of getting to
Cloudsdale,
fly
Rainbow.
where her mentor did when she was her age. With that in her mind, She got up and headed to the hill. There's only one problem I had with this so far.
Why'd you stop reading?
It said that she learned to fly on a hill,
Oh, same thing as me.
and it's to my knowledge
That's a lie.
that
She learned how to fly in Clydesdale.
they were taught to train in
Clydesdale.
taught to fly all in Cloudsdale
Yeah.
because when Fluttershy fell down, she was talking about never being on the ground, and she would have been there her whole
Yeah.
life if she knew what was there.
Hold on, guys.
And
Get back to the reading.
so they
This is my
must
job.
not have top of the hill. Scootaloo noticed it was far too steep for any pony to trot down. Now, even though I don't like gliding, it does help you a bit here. What I want you to do first is to get some speed by gliding down face first and then pulling up. The wind will catch you and your wings will then naturally do the rest. Scootaloo looked down again and thought she was going to throw up.
You're
She
gonna
didn't
do
want to
more
get
than
hurt
that.
anymore, and she was about to complain about being
If you
way too
complain,
sore
you know what's
when
gonna
all of a sudden
happen.
from behind her, she heard a sharp, "What the hell are you waiting for?" Scootaloo got scared and jumped off inadvertently. Even though she managed to take it off, she was gliding way too close to the ground. Her heart pounded a mile a minute, and she was way too scared to focus on flying, and because of this, she hit the steep ground hard. She saw that she hit the ground,
It's gonna
but
hurt.
the pain didn't register to her. She didn't feel anything, and she was in shock. Even though she was so scared, but she didn't scream. She just
Rainbow's
slowly
going to
saw
beat the
the
crap
world
out of you.
growing dark. As it was spinning violently all around her and from one direction to the other, she watched this and slowly faded into black. Ache. Hey. Up.
Oh,
Cthulhu.
I get it.
Aloo! Wake! Scootaloo slowly opened her eyes a little, and her eyes began to adjust to the light. Just then, she felt a ice-cold sting surrounding her body, and she shot straight up, and would have almost screamed if she hadn't then realized it was just water. She looked around and noticed she was still in the Everfree Forest. She looked down to see her arms and legs were riddled with cuts and bruises. It was the afternoon, and the sun was about to set. Evidently, she had been knocked out for a while.
Did Rainbow leave
She
her
then
there?
turned her head to see Rainbow Dash throwing away a pail of ice water to her side.
You didn't get medical
She was
attention?
upset, and Scootaloo knew why.
Well, I know
That
why, but
was the most pathetic attempt at flight ever. I can't believe I even considered having you as my apprentice. If I had known my apprentice was going to be a weak, worthless little shit, I would have asked a fucking earth pony to fly. I'm done with you, kid. You were...
okay, guys. If you don't know why Rainbow is being this way, military training. This is what this is. Because no one is this rough on Philly, or kids. This is military training style, and I knew that when this started. Except military is probably 30 times worse than what Rainbow's doing. So keep that in mind. I know military training. I know their regiments, and this is almost as close to military training as you can get. Rainbow is pushing Scootaloo to her limits right now to keep her there. It's to keep her in line, more to say. A drill sergeant in military training has any right whatsoever to get you to do your job, no matter what it is. It's called mind game. It's a mind game, basically. The drill sergeant will screw with your mind as much as possible to make you feel as weak and worthless as possible. When you think you're weak and worthless, your mind goes to say you want to prove them wrong instantly. This is what Rainbow's doing. But Rainbow doesn't... I don't think Rainbow realizes that this is a child. And if she does, Scootaloo's gonna die by the end of this story. So, with that in mind, guys, I'm gonna keep going.
just a huge waste of my time. Scootaloo felt tears coming to her eyes. She knew it was a horrible attempt, but she thought Rainbow Dash would have had more practice. Suddenly, a surge of anger and adrenaline rushed through her veins
See?
as she She was mad, and she wasn't going to let Rainbow Dash give up on her this easy. Hey, I can too fly, and I'll go right back and show you. That's mighty big talk for someone who rolled down the hill when I clearly instructed you to fly. Do you care to prove this? Yes, I do. Right now. I'll make you regret saying that. Scootaloo didn't know how, but she was going to do what she said. She climbed up the hill, got to the top, and looked down. Doing this, she readied for the worst. Without hesitation, she jumped and glided downwards. The whole time she had her eyes closed and was hoping that the nature would indeed kick in.
Nope.
Did, and she felt the air flow around her face
Never
and
mind.
mane under her wings. She couldn't believe it. She was actually flying.
3.
She opened her eyes and saw how
2.
high she was and laughed.
Never
She
mind.
began doing 360s and loops in excitement and joy. In fact, she was having so much fun, she forgot that Rainbow Dash was supposed to be watching her, but Scootaloo had flown so far away from the training spot that she was sure that Rainbow Dash had forgotten about her. Just then, a streak of blue shot past her. The force from the streak almost knocked her off balance,
And here
but
we
she
go.
maintained her position and noticed that Rainbow Dash was actually flying right next to her. She looked back at Rainbow Dash and smiled while Rainbow Dash smiled back. Aw. I know she's being a dick, but she's actually like living out what she wants to do.
This guy
Her dream is to
doesn't notice it, I believe.
make Rainbow Dash proud and to fly with Rainbow Dash and be trained by the best, and
Keep
she's
reading.
getting to live out her dream even though it's not quite as good as she imagined it. Gotta admit, you're pretty good at making a doubter a believer. Now go home and get some flying in. We'll work on maneuvers tomorrow. I'm proud of you, kid. I really am.
And here comes Mrs.
Now
Burns.
get out of here. Scootaloo saluted in affirmation and proceeded to fly home, still in disbelief that she was flying. And very early at it, too. Most of the Pegasi in her class still couldn't fly. She was on the top of the world and no one could bring her down. She saw her foster home and flew down to it in a slow, calm descent.
Mrs. Burns?
When she got inside, she was surprised to not see Mrs. Burton ready to give her another lecture or another beating. But
Another?
instead, pondering it for too long, she went into Avion's room. The little gray Pegasus was fast asleep, and Scootaloo carefully walked over to the side of her bed and gave him a kiss on the forehead and whispered,
Aww.
"Thank you for believing in me, Avion. I couldn't have done it without you." She smiled and walked back into her room. As she was getting into her bed, she was contemplating about the day. She hadn't gotten beaten up by her foster mom
Yet.
to learn how to fly in a matter of 2 attempts. And most importantly, Rainbow Dash said she was proud of her. To Scootaloo,
Mind games.
this was a blessing in disguise. This
Just
was
wait.
her last thought before she drifted off into slumber. Well, where am I? Scootaloo woke from her sleep to see that she was in a room from her old home. It was the home of a place where her nightmares never seemed to end.
Dreams.
It was her parents' home. Oh no, no. I can't be here. I can't. I gotta get out of here. She tried to get up, only to see that she was tied down to her bed by some thick rope.
Okay.
She tried to wiggle around violently in an attempt to break free, but then she decided to stay put as she didn't know what tied her to her bed. And she decided what to make or provoke her captor, wherever it was. As soon as she stopped, she looked around to see her old room like it used to be. She remembered how there was loose floorboards she used to hide under when her father came home drunk and threatened to beat her. She remembered getting hits from her mom in the left corner of the room. All her memories of her past rushing in all at once, and she began to swallow tears.
This girl's
Just
got a messed
then,
up life.
a gray and orange figure emerged from the doorway ever so slowly.
And here we go.
Scootaloo, sweetie, is that you? Oh my, how wonderful. We've been so worried about you.
I doubt that.
The room was dark, but the figure stepped next to the window and the moonlight revealed the figures. It was her parents. Scootaloo's eyes went wide in fear, and she began to sweat and wriggle around some more. She didn't know why her parents filling after her, but she knew it couldn't have been to welcome her back home.
She knows this is a dream, right?
No, no, no. You can't be real. You're supposed to be gone. Both of you. Let me go. I don't belong to you anymore. Somebody help!
Wait.
The larger orange stallion crept closer to Scootaloo and said in an insane voice, "Oh, my dear sweet child. I don't think you realize where your place is in this family. When you left us that fateful day, it killed your mother and I.
Oh boy.
Your mother and I were wrongfully accused for a crime, and then they took us away from you. Your mother loved you so much that she took her life before they caught us. She was hoping that you were dead, so that way she could see you in the next life. But unfortunately, she didn't go to the predetermined destination, and
You killed
instead
yourself, woman.
ended in a place of internal suffering and sorrow.
You killed yourself, woman.
She tried to cut her own heart out for you, Scootaloo.
Jesus
What have
Christ!
you done to your poor mother?" As he said this,
Her parents
the
are
other figure emerged
insane!
from the darkness, only to reveal what looked to be an emaciated white mare. Blood was pouring out from its stomach, and blood was dripping out of its mouth. Scootaloo was too petrified to even scream. She only looked on in fear on the monstrosity before her. "That is what you did to your mother, Scootaloo.
You're,
Look at her. She doesn't even know where you're here. She's gone. Mentally, of course. But now that you're here, we can begin our family all over again."
Oh god.
Scootaloo couldn't believe what she
This
was seeing.
reminds me of a
This
fanfic.
thing was supposed to be her mother. She looked on in horror as the orange Pegasus pulled out a tray of what looked to be like surgical equipment.
Oh god, I know where this is going.
What are you doing?" Scootaloo whimpered, tears forming again.
Don't.
"I thought I told you, dear daughter. Now that you're here, we can begin a family again.
Avion, save
In order
her.
to do so, mother needs a heart.
Avion, wake her up now!
I'd much rather for the heart of her own daughter than some random filly. Wouldn't you agree? That way, a part of you still lives on inside your mother. She'd
Okay,
be so
wake her
happy
up
to know
now!
the very thing that gives her life is her own daughter's heart beating. She won't have to suffer anymore, and we'll be a happy family all over again."
Jesus
His voice
Christ,
took the ring
Avion,
from
wake
his
her up
second
now!
and wheeled the tray closer to Scootaloo. Scootaloo kicked and screamed violently in a desperate attempt to break free, but it was no use. The orange Pegasus drew a scalpel from the tray next to him and proceeded to cut into her lower chest. "Please, don't. Scoo only let out soft sobs, hoping that her father would even have an ounce of mercy to let her go. Sadly, it was to no avail, as the blue
I was
as
told
the
this
big
was supposed to be a
orange
sad
Pegasus
fanfic.
only turned to meet her face, and a twisted evil smile curled across his lips.
How is this sad?
Her father began to chuckle. Then it turned into a full-out, insane laugh. He then stopped in place and only turned his eye to meet Scootaloo's. The look on his face would forever haunt Scootaloo's dreams. It was the most evil and twisted expression she had ever seen before.
Please wake up.
Her
Please
dad
wake
was
up.
in blowing the knife, slowly in the style of a mad doctor.
Please
It
wake
drew
up.
even closer and almost penetrated her skin when Scootaloo let out a scream and bolted. She looked around, and her parents were gone now. Now, she was back in her foster home.
Thank God.
Scootaloo was drenched in a cold sweat and panting heavily. Suddenly, a torrent of liquid surged from her stomach and out of her mouth, and her vomit spilled into the carpet below. She was still a bit sore from workouts, and sudden movements made her cringe in pain. She began sobbing again and sniffling. Rainbow Dash. Where are you?
Probably sleeping, not
Please come
thinking about
save me,
you.
Rainbow Dash. I love you so much, and I don't even care that you hit me sometimes. I know that you're just trying to make me a better flyer. Am I not giving it my all? Skidoo contemplated and then she crawled back into bed. She was sure that the only reason
What happened?
Rainbow hadn't adopted her yet was because she wasn't giving Rainbow any reason to. In that very moment, Skidoo made her mind up that if she didn't experience any pain when she went training, then her chances of being adopted were only getting slimmer. She wanted the pain. She welcomed it with open arms. She then began to drift off into a more peaceful slumber, and she closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "Don't worry, Rainbow. I'll make you proud."
Yeah.
Okay. It was the 8th week of summer.
Let's see
School
how
had been
this
training
goes.
long and hard with Rainbow Dash, and today was the last day for their summer together.
So we're skipping the rest of the weeks. Okay. Okay.
School had come a long way since her struggle in the beginning, and now she was almost just as fast and agile as Rainbow herself. Well, Scoots,
Probably
I taught
dead.
you all I possibly can. The only thing that's left is for you to go out and celebrate. Really? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Rainbow Dash. I promise I'll make you proud even after I'm gone. I will become even better than the Wonderbolts themselves. Scoot, shoot for the stars, kid. I know you'll make me proud. You're the only one who has ever been able to keep up with me while I'm flying and survive my methods of training.
You've done this before?
If you aren't better than every other Pegasi in Equestria, then I've failed, and I don't like failure. So I know I taught you well.
You've taught
Scoot
other
couldn't have been
Pegasus?
more happier to hear those words of acknowledgement. Words that said someone was proud of her. Her heart was melting. She almost cried, but kept her posture as to not ruin the moment before her. I got a little surprise for you, Scoots. Really? Okay, what is it? I'm not telling you, but okay, this is all one word, so. Uh, but first one to sugar cube. Oh, okay,
First one, sugar cucumber
not telling
ones.
you, but first one to sugar cube corner wins. Go. Just then, Rainbow Dash shot off in the burst of speed, and Scootaloo followed in suit. The two Pegasi eventually got to Sugar Cube Corner. It was much too dark to be out and about, so Scootaloo was contemplating all the possibilities as to what the surprise could possibly be. As they were walking up the stairs to the entrance, Scootaloo noticed that there was a closed sign on the door ahead. Was my surprise a cake, Rainbow? Because if it was, Sugar Cube Corner is closed now. We're too late. That's odd. I'm sure Pinky won't mind making a quick one. Rainbow Dash knocked on the door twice, opened it, and walked inside. The lights were off, and no Pony was there. Just then, a flash of bright light pierced the darkness, followed by a loud noise. Surprise! Scoo almost jumped in excitement. Every pony near and dear to her was there. Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, some of her other classmates, and even Avion. Of course, Pinkie Pie and her friends were there too. Pinkie was the first one to jump up to the little filly. Scootaloo, were you surprised? Were you? Huh?
Probably.
Yeah, Pinkie, I was most definitely surprised. Thank you for all this. Aw, you're welcome. Now come on, let's get the party started. Scootaloo looked back at Rainbow Dash, who was standing behind her. Tears were welling up in Scootaloo's eyes, and a wrinkled smile quivered across her lips. She ran back to Rainbow and hugged her. Thank you so much, Rainbow Dash. This is the nicest thing any pony has ever done for me. Aw, Scoots, don't thank me. You earned it. Now go have fun, you little goofball. You know I hate this mushy, gushy type of stuff.
Huh.
And Scoo did just that.
With that
She played
sentence, that
games with her
proves
friends,
right
sang,
there.
danced, and ate as much cake to her heart's content. Even though she didn't have much of a family, the company of her friends made it seem like she did. She wished this night would never end.
Good luck with that one.
The party went on, and she decided to go mingle with some of her friends. She noticed her foster friend in the corner in the room, sipping on punch by himself. So Scootaloo headed over to talk to him. Hey, Avion. Glad you can make it. Having a good time? Yeah, I am. I heard you can fully fly now, Scootaloo. That's great. Some, you should teach me sometime.
Ah,
I'd love to, Avion. It would give me someone to mentor. I'm so glad you're here. You don't know how much it means to me that you came. Scootaloo then gave the Pegasus friend a big hug. Oh, it was my pleasure coming here. I'd never been to a party before, so I don't know what to do. Would you mind if I stick with you the rest of the night?
I've got a
Heck no, not at all.
good feeling who would
Having a
adopt
best friend
Avion.
behind me the whole time sounds fun. Here, I want to introduce you to Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle. They're my friends from school.
Is
You'll like
Avion a
them.
blank flank?
This is going to be so much fun. And the night went on without a worry or care to distract any pony from just having fun and enjoying themselves. Well, like all good things, the party had to come to an unfortunate end. It was around 12:30 when
Oh
they
God.
finally brought it to a close.
Miss
Everybody went home
Burns
for
is
the
going
night.
to kill
Scootaloo
her.
was a bit disappointed that they couldn't party longer, but more happy at the joy that surrounded the party while it lasted. Every pony was gone, and it was just Scootaloo, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie. They were all picking up the mess that the party had made. Nice party, as always, Pinkie, Rainbow said, throwing away a last bit of trash. Yeah, real great party. I had tons of fun. Aw, thanks. It was to my pleasure, Scoots. You guys helped enough now. Go
Goes to
home.
show, even
It's late.
yawning in YouTube
Thanks,
works.
Pinkie. See you later, Rainbow said as she headed out the door. Yeah, Pinkie. See you later. And on that, the two walked out the door and headed home. As the two were walking, Rainbow looked over to Scootaloo. So, did you like your surprise? Are you kidding me? I loved it.
I think only one
Glad to
thing
hear
could
it,
have topped
Scoots.
it.
Rainbow paused for a brief moment. So, what's it like, you know, living in a foster home and all?
It's a living
I've never had the
nightmare.
chance to experience it, and it's a pretty long walk back home. And I don't feel like flying right now. Probably because I'm too tired. Anyways, back to my question. Scootaloo looked up at Rainbow Dash in excitement and a bit of surprise. She wasn't sure what brought them to that topic, though she was hoping that maybe, just maybe,
Tell her the
Rainbow
truth
Dash was
and
thinking
you'll
of
get
adopting
out.
her. So she wasted no time in complying her response. Well, it's pretty hard to explain if you've never been a foster filly, but sometimes you feel as though no pony loves you or cares that you exist. Sometimes you wonder how you got to a foster home in the first place. Did you do something wrong? Why would some pony give you up? Those questions are the ones that I ask myself a lot,
And Miss Burns still
and
hasn't been
each
to
time
prison
I
yet?
do, I realize, even though that I don't want to, that my parents didn't care about me, and that I'm in a foster
With the
home
dreams
because
you
of it.
have about them, yeah.
Then you start to hate ponies. You feel as though the world is out to stab you in the back, and every pony but you is the enemy. I felt that feeling a lot during my early years of foster home, but when I met my friends, and we hung out some more, I slowly lost that hostility and anger inside me. Then, as you keep going and going, you're pretty much just desperate for a home, even if it means going back to what you left. You don't care if the ponies that left hurt you. At least you have something to call family again. And I guess that's where I am at. Sorry if I rambled a bit, Rainbow. It's just, no pony's ever asked me that question before, and I'm not really sure how to answer it, but in that way, I hope I didn't confuse you too much. Rainbow Dash almost dropped her jaw. She couldn't believe how much this little filly overcame on top of the brutal beatings she gave to her, but she kept her composure and continued their little walk and talk. Oh, don't worry about Scoots. I wasn't a foster filly when I grew up, so I wouldn't get it anyways. I was really just wondering how you felt about it all. It sounds pretty tough, but it also sounds
Pretty
like you
tough?
make it through pretty well. Anyways, anyways, looks like we're just about to your house. Think you can make it back? Yeah, Rainbow. Don't worry about me. Thank you so much for the
Don't you
party.
dig on.
You're the best, Rainbow Dash. Keep flying, kid. You got something special, so use it. And with that, the two parted, and went. Okay, I apologize for this, but this was actually
I can't hear
the first part was recorded about a month or two ago. Like right after, or right before I went on the trip. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna continue
Continue
reading it
reading.
from there. So yeah, Goodaloo finally got home and entered the house. Upon entering, she almost jumped back in her surprise. There was empty bottles of beer everywhere. Some were broken, others were not.
Uh-oh.
There were some razor blades with specks of cocaine on them on the coffee table
Um,
to the left of her. Scootaloo was stunned
so much
by
for the
this
happy, peaceful
rather
land of Equestria.
unusual sight and was going to investigate it more if it wasn't for the "No! No, please!" that pierced her ears. Oh
Uh-oh.
shit, someone's getting beat. She was coming from the bathroom, and Scootaloo immediately took off in hopes of finding out who screamed. She got to the door and noticed it was a little bit open. When she got inside, she almost screamed in fear. It was Miss Burns.
Please be
She
dead.
had a hoop placed behind Avion's head and was forcing it into the bathtub.
I
The
will
little
kill you!
Pegasus was screaming, but his cries were muffled by the water. Scootaloo
What?
didn't know what to do. She wanted to help, but
Kick
didn't know
her!
how. She kept thinking faster and faster until only a "Stop it!" escaped her mouth.
Is that all you can
Mrs.
do?
Burns turned her head. Her eyes were bloodshot and her teeth were showing. "You, I have just about had it with you. Come here!" The purple pony then pulled up Avion's head by his blonde mane and threw him next to the wall. The little colt was coughing violently and gasping for air, wheezing between random breaths. Skidoo wanted to go help her friend, but had no time as the pony started chasing her around the house, knocking over lamps and furniture on her way. Skidoo fled to the basement and didn't bother turning the lights on her way down.
Uh-oh.
She ran straight into the very back where the washing machine was and hid behind it. The door to the basement creaked open again, and Mrs. Burns flipped on the light switch.
What is wrong
She
with this
walked slowly,
pony?
looking for Scootaloo,
How did she
poking her
get
head
a
around
license
every
to
inch
do
of
this?
furniture, equipment, and anything that was downstairs. "Come on out, you worthless shit! I'm only gonna end you when I find you, so might as well face it now." Scootaloo was scared, but she didn't like being called a coward. She immediately leapt out of the back of the washing machine and charged at Mrs. Burns, only to be hit in the side of the face with a heavy hoof that knocked her to the wall beside her. "Nowhere to run now, is there? I'm going to make sure this time you don't wake up." Scooter wanted to move, but couldn't, as her back was in a lot of pain from being struck so violently. She tried to move, and was only able to move her torso at the moment, until she heard a loud crack that came from the right leg.
Uh-oh.
Scootaloo screamed in pain. She had endured pain, but none like the one she had been feeling now. She looked up and saw Mrs. Burns, smiling a crooked, twisted smile,
What is
much
wrong
like the
with
smile
her?
she had saw in her nightmare. She wanted to run, but her leg was broken, and she couldn't do anything. She
You've
tried
got
to
three
crawl with
other
her left
legs!
leg,
You got
but was
wings!
immediately pulled back, and another crack could be heard from the other leg. Skittles screamed again.
Then I get
She
two.
thought she was going to die. Her eyes felt like they were going to pop
Jesus
out of her head any
Christ!
minute, if the pain didn't stop soon.
Avion,
She was
save her!
trying hard and was crawling
No,
to the
Avion, don't
exit
save her.
again,
I know what's
when
gonna
she
happen
was
if he
pulled
tries to.
back again by her broken legs. Mrs. Burns turned the poor filly over, and with the same crooked expression on her face, said, This is where it ends, my dear. Here and now. Skula didn't want to believe it, but it looked to be inevitable. At this moment, she was hoping that whatever was about to come came quick and without any more pain than she had already had. Mrs. Burns raised her right hoof in front of Scootaloo's face and was just about to drop it when Mrs. Burns screamed and fell to the ground with a loud thud. Behind Mrs. Burns stood Avion with a bloody
Thank you,
meat cleaver in his hand.
God!
Holy shit, that's awesome!
Thank you, God!
Fuck yeah!
Yes!
He spat it to the side and sat down and began to weep, his mane still dripping from when he was almost drowned. Scooter looked at her friend and sympathized for him. Celestia knows what that poor colt has been through. An experience like this would surely forever traumatize him. Everything started to become hazy again. The world started to spin slowly, but increasing speed. Then, a blackness started to surround her and slowly faded into black. Vital signs were rising. She's regaining consciousness. Scootaloo? Sweetie? Can you hear me? Scootaloo woke up and looked around. She could only squint as the light above was unbelievably bright. But she tried talking and only let out a groan. All right, she'll be fine. Go ahead and start the procedure.
The what?
This was the last thing Skidoo heard before falling asleep again. 2 hours eventually passed, and Skidoo woke up again to another bright light. She was in the same room she came from. Only this time, her friends were there, resting their heads on the rail of the bed she was in. Guys, what are y'all doing?
Um, what happened?
Don't we
There we
have
go.
school tomorrow? You should be in bed. Just then, each of the faces planted on the rail of the bed shot up and looked straight at Scootaloo. Oh my Celestia! Scootaloo, are you okay? Spookybell's eyes were tearing up as
Strikes again.
she heard the siren around your house and everything. Then, they brought you out on the stretcher and, oh my Celestia, it was the most horrible thing.
Yeah, we know this already.
Yeah,
We were there.
I'm fine.
You're not fine. Don't you dare pull that off.
Avion, is he okay?
Avion's...
Yeah, he's fine.
He's in a better
He's
condition than
downstairs talking to the
Scootaloo is.
police. But anyway, what happened? We asked Avion, but he didn't talk. It's not important right now. I need to see him. He saved my life. Again.
Again.
Now I gotta
Again.
go. Scootaloo looked down and noticed the bandages on her legs.
Oh.
She
Yeah,
almost
whoops.
forgotten why she was in the hospital in the first place.
How do
She
you...
then moved her body back to where it was originally. Y'all gonna tell us what happened eventually, ain't you, Scoots?
Probably
You
not.
had me and Sweetie Belle here words sick, not to mention practically all Ponyville on this stir. You can't blame us if we seem to be a little bit over-concerned. I'll tell you when I feel like it, okay? Just then, a nurse pony walked in and glared at the fillies, informing them to leave. Apple Bloom and Scootaloo left, and Nurse Pony came over to Scootaloo's bed. Aha! Error! It's supposed to say Sweetie Belle. Bloom and...
What? Don't... How...
How are you feeling, sweetie? Are you comfortable? Yeah, I'm fine. What's gonna happen now? Well, we're gonna go and let you rest.
Why? Come on.
No, not that. What's gonna happen to me? Where will I go now? If you know why my legs are broken, then you know what happened to the pony that did it. The nurse pony had a nervous look on her face. Well, the only other foster home is in Manhattan, so I think they'll be sending you there after you're done. I assume they're gonna send you there. So unless you're adopted here and now, while in Ponyville, I'm afraid you won't be able to see your friends again for a long time.
Uh,
Luckily, you'll be here for a month, so I'm sure everything could happen by then.
I highly doubt that.
You okay, honey? What a bitch. Yeah, you're gonna see your friends forever. Just thought I'd let you know.
You're just never gonna see your friends again.
Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. But Scootaloo wasn't fine. She didn't know what she was gonna do now that she may have to move. She only had a month left in Ponyville. Tears began to well up in her eyes. She wanted to cry then and there, but she decided not to. She figured she had cried a lot before, and that it never solved anything. So she saw no point in expressing her sadness, and instead just laid there with a depressed look on her face. Well, it's late, sweetie. Take some of the medicine and go to sleep. Okay, thank you. The nurse then handed some pink liquid and water and started to leave the room when Scootaloo spoke up. Oh, hey, one quick question before you leave, miss. Do you know what will happen to my friend Avion? The nurse had a grim look on her face, but she turned around and tried her best to find the words that wouldn't upset Scootaloo. It looks like he'll be put in a mental hospital in juvenile hall.
What?
The mayor will decide his fate.
That was
What?
self-defense!
You can't save my life. I wouldn't be in this bed if you hadn't killed that witch. Why would you even think of such a thing? Where are the police? I need to
Of course. Scootaloo's epic speech and it goes away.
talk to Avion and thank him for saving my life. Don't put him away. Let me out of here.
I don't know why.
Just did, honey. He killed a pony, and now he has to pay the price.
It was in
That's the way
self-defense!
things work in Equestria. An eye for an eye, or in this case, a life for a life.
Self-defense!
You can see that they're not considering an adult trial. Look, I made a promise
Okay,
to
I'm
Cole
complaining about this
that
at
I
the
would
end of
watch
this.
over him like he watched over me. If I break that promise, it would kill him. You don't know what that poor Colt has been through. Any more suffering, and he's sure to take his own life. I'll talk to the police. But for right now, get some sleep, and don't worry about it. Scootaloo's medicine was starting to kick in, and she was getting pretty sleepy. She wanted to argue more, but sleep was overwhelming her more and more. She couldn't fight it anymore. She closed her eyes and fell asleep. Okay, that's part 4.
Okay,
That
guys.
was an
Okay.
amazing chapter.
If I could pause the
Things are
video.
getting better and better.
Okay. Avion. Okay. My foster mother is drowning me. She is breaking Scootaloo's legs. I'm gonna kill her. After all the crap they've been through. That's self-defense. Self-defense can be filed like that. If you kill someone, if they are going to kill you, if they have the intent to kill you, you have the right to defend yourself. And in defending yourself comes it's killing them. I don't know. I'm pissed now. I am. I'm pissed. Unless Equestria law is different. Because this world is not as peaceful as what it seems now, but this is a fanfic, so, but, okay, self-defense, that's self-defense. Self-defense is defending yourself. I don't know. It's a great story. I'm enjoying the story, but this is in particularly ticking me off. Because Avion had the full right to kill her. There was no other way to stop her. How are 2 children going to restrain an adult horse that is on drugs and alcohol? Even if they could have held her down long enough, by the time the police got there, one of them would have been dead. Oh well. It's the way the writer wants it, so I can't complain. but expect that at the end of my reaction. I'm just gonna move on to the next chapter now. So just keep that in mind, guys. Self defense. If this story ends on a bad note, you guys will be hearing me screaming. I'll be back. Guys, quick note. Chapter 5. The guy that I'm watching, it was an author note saying that that he was gonna play a song called "Mad World" by I didn't got the name, so I don't own that. I don't. I'm gonna have to put a link to that too, ain't I? Crap. But so this chapter's supposed to be a bit better now, and I'm actually looking forward to the song because I really do love songs. And if I start singing it, if I know get a hang of the lyrics, I might start singing it if it's a good song. So yeah, if you guys can deal with it, I'm sorry. All right, I think he's starting reading now. So here we go.
Chapter 5. When it rains.
Oh boy.
Skula woke up from her sleep, still groggy from the medicine she took before falling asleep last night. She sat up and turned her head to the window to the right. The skies were gray, and not a single spot of blue
Don't you dare lag.
in the sky. Skula got up and flew to her wheelchair next to the bed. She wheeled herself out of the hospital and off to school. As she was rolling to school, she noticed the dull scenery that passed by as she was going on her way. She was somewhat amazed at how sad Ponyville looked when a simple rainstorm was coming. No Pony was in sight, the stores were open, and Scootaloo was alone in a sad and gray world. She dropped her head and continued on her way. She finally arrived, and Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle could be seen standing outside the door, waiting for a fellow crusader to show up. Scootaloo! Said in excitement as they saw their friend in a wheelchair herself closer and closer to the school's entrance. Sweetie Belle ran over to her friend and got behind the wheelchair and began to push it with her head. Hey guys, Scootaloo said, trying not to sound too depressed. Well, you don't have to push me. I'm fine. I still have my wing now. Oh, don't be silly, Scoots. Of course I have to. What else are friends for? Those words caused a small smile to curl up around Scootaloo's lips, even though it was only a matter of seconds before it turned back into a frown. Scootaloo was contemplating the way she was going to have to tell her friends that she may be moving. As she was being pushed, Apple Bloom came up next to Scootaloo and asked, Hey Scoots, how you feeling? Scootaloo didn't want to answer, but she looked at her friends and saw how genuinely concerned she was, and felt as though she had to think of something that wouldn't worry her fellow crusaders too much. I'm fine, Apple Bloom. Thanks for asking. We should hurry up into class. School's about to start. Oh,
Brother.
apples. Yeah, alright. Come on then. Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle darted into the door to their classroom, and Scootaloo slowly lifted her head up the stairs by her wings. She then wheeled herself into the class. As she did, she noticed every pony stop what they were doing and immediately stared straight at her. Scootaloo sighed and hung her head in embarrassment and shame as she made her way back to the very back desk. She didn't like the back, but it seemed the only way to escape the awkward stares that her classmates were giving her. She found her spot and looked up only to see that they were still staring at her. Apple noticed this and attempted to take matter into her own hands. Alright, listen up, y'all. If any pony has something to say to Scootaloo, don't. Y'all talk to me. Until then, stop scaring her, okay? Golly, ain't like none of you ever seen a pony in a wheelchair. Sheesh. Scootaloo placed a hoof to her face. She knew Applebloom had good intentions. She just wished she hadn't expressed them in front of the whole class on her first day back. Just then, Miss Shirley walked into the classroom. She went to her desk and addressed the class in a cheerful tone. Welcome back, my little ponies. I hope all of you had a good summer. And are you ready to start the new semester? Miss Shirley paused, but only for a few moments. Now, I know all of you have a question for a certain student of ours, but I ask you to save those questions for whenever he or she feels like answering them. Now I want you all to take out your writing equipment and write what you did on summer break. Scootaloo wanted to hide under a rock
Shirley,
and
you.
never come out. She was so embarrassed. She didn't know what to do other than just sit there and sulk. The day went on and the rain was only coming down harder. Raindrops could be heard hitting the roof above. Alright, class, no homework for today. Make sure you grab your coats on the way out. Have a good rest of the day. Every pony then darted for the door and proceeded to play in the rain. Scoo was the last out, but before she left, she could feel a soft hoof placed gently on her shoulder. It was Miss Shirley, and in a calm, sympathetic voice, she said, I'm sorry, Scootaloo. I can talk to your doctor and have you stay there until you're better and off your wheelchair, if that would help. No, it's fine, Miss Shirley. You know what will happen at the end of the month if I don't get adopted. I just want to spend as much time as possible with Apple and Sweetie Belle as I possibly can. Well, okay then. Remember, you don't have to answer to any pony about where you've been and where you got your bandages from, and if any pony is bugging you about it, come find me. I'll be sure to talk to them, okay? You poor thing. There are things in this life that a affiliate or a cult just shouldn't experience till they're older, or not at all. I'm so sorry, honey. Thanks, Miss Shirley. See you later. With that, Scootaloo slowly descended the stairs and continued to wheelchair herself back to the hospital in the rain. Scootaloo didn't mind the rain. It was humid, and the heat sent a calm and relaxing feeling down her back with each drop. As she was going on, she noticed some posters across the street lights in Ponyville Square. The posters read, Come one, come all, to the first annual Pegasi of the Decade Race. This race will decide once and for all who is the best flyer in all of Equestria. The prize for first is a custom-tailored Wonderbolt outfit, 100,000 bits, and the highest honor a Pegasi can receive, a place in the Pegasi Hall of Fame. Any Pegasi is permitted to enter. No holds barred. This is your chance to prove you are the best. Scootaloo's attention, but she only thought little of it and continued back to the hospital. She eventually got back to the hospital around the afternoon. She took the elevator to the floor and proceeded to her room. There was some medicine on the counter next to her bed. She drank the medicine and lay back down in her bed. Just then, a knock came from the door, and a nurse pony entered. Scootaloo, you have a visitor, the nurse pony said happily. Rainbow Dash! Scootaloo's eyes lit up, and her face immediately frightened as she saw her favorite Pegasus enter. Hey kid, how you feeling? Oh, I'm fine. Just recovering, you know. Well, I thought I'd just check in on you and see how things were going. I actually got to go start training for that Pegasus race coming up at the end of the month. Scootaloo's eyes went from bright to... She looked defeated, like something in Rainbow Dash's words caused her to slump. Scootaloo stuttered nervously. That's the only reason you came here? Rainbow Dash raised an eyebrow to Scootaloo. Well, yeah, Scoots. I mean, why else would I come here? Scoots? Are you okay? Scootaloo had her head down, and she was trembling angrily. A long tear rolled down the little filly's cheek, as she whispered angrily, "What am I doing wrong?" What? Rainbow Dash tilted her head slightly to the side as she asked this. There was silence. The sound of the storm outside was the only thing that could be heard. There was a feeling of great depression and confusion between them. Suddenly, Scootaloo, with a much calm but sad tone, said, Rainbow Dash, did my training mean nothing to you? Was I not giving it my all? What am I doing wrong? Please, tell me. Rainbow Dash looked more confused than ever. She began to stutter. Oh, I... What? Scootaloo, what are you talking about? Scootaloo couldn't take it anymore. All this time, through the training, the torture, the endurance of pain and verbal abuse, and Rainbow Dash still couldn't see the real reason Scootaloo asked to be Rainbow's prodigy in the first place? How on earth can you ask what I'm talking about? You know I'm a foster filly. You know I don't have a home. You know I was abused by my parents as a filly. You know how I ended up with these two broken legs. Yet you can't see a reason why I asked you to teach me to fly. What am I doing wrong, Rainbow Dash? Tell me. Scootaloo lifted her little head to reveal to Rainbow Dash a very sad Scootaloo. Her face was red. Streams of tears could be seen on the side of her cheeks, and her nose was running rapidly. Scootaloo couldn't take it anymore. I never liked flying to begin with. I only asked you to teach me so that I wouldn't have to deal with being beaten or sitting in my room all summer, crying and wondering about why I'm not adopted. I still have nightmares of my parents coming home and beating me with a venge of death, like they used to. Do you know what that's like? Do you know how scary it is to even talk to some pony after that? I just don't even... Make it stop! Scootaloo was wailing in misery as a swirl of sad emotions flushed through her body. The memories of her abusive parents rushed through her body. The feeling of death she felt way too many times for a filly to experience. Every bottled feeling she had was let out right before Rainbow Dash. She stopped crying for a brief moment, and with her head down, she trembled as she asked Rainbow, Rainbow Dash, why don't you love me? Why won't any pony love me? Rainbow Dash was stunned. She didn't know how to feel or react. She simply stuttered nervously again. Anything that came out of her mind that would even remotely compensate Scootaloo was said. Scootaloo, I... I didn't know. Scootaloo interrupted, not letting Rainbow Dash finish her sentence. Yeah, I know you didn't. Just leave me alone. It's not like you even care. The only reason you came here was to tell me that you were preparing for a race at the end of the month. Just leave. Every pony I know seems to be good at it. Why should you be any different? And on that, Rainbow Dash silently walked out the door. Scootaloo laid on her bed, resting on her side. A couple minutes passed, and Scootaloo turned on the TV with her remote that was on her lamp desk to her right. She was flipping through the channels, and as she was flipping, she thought she saw a picture of Avion. She flipped back a few channels, and it turned out it was Avion. He was on the news channel, and Scootaloo immediately turned up the volume to hear what it was that the pony channel was saying. In other news, an abused foster mom is killed by one of her foster colts in an attempt to protect themselves. 65-year-old Mrs. Burns was found dead with a large stab wound in her stomach. 10-year-old colt named Avion is not injured. 11-year-old Scootaloo is in the hospital, suffering only from 2 broken legs. And 10-year-old Zealous, brother of Avion, was found dead at the scene with
Oh my
multiple shards of
god.
glass, reportedly forced down his esophagus.
My
Holy
god.
shit, I didn't know someone died. Scootaloo placed a hoof on her mouth. She hadn't even noticed that Zealous wasn't there when she was attacked. She didn't like Zealous, but not enough to care that he was dead. If only he had come to the party, maybe he could have lived. Scootaloo thought to herself. She felt terrible for not even considering her fellow foster colt's existence. She looked back up to see the TV and the news ponies continue talking. The punishment for this crime is still being considered by the mayor. Further investigations is still underway. Scootaloo couldn't hear it anymore. She turned off the TV and laid back down. She didn't know how to feel. She only looked out and watched the raindrops splash and glide down the window of her room. The sky was black and heavy with rain. Some thunderclouds could be heard miles away. Scootaloo watched the sight as she drifted into deep thought. Was it too hard on Rainbow? I mean, she didn't do anything, did she? Should I let her finish? Wait, no. I already knew she wasn't going to adopt me. So why should I care? She only came here to brag about her stupid race. Scootaloo paused for a moment. An idea was hatching deep inside her brain. More ideas started flowing until I got it! Escaped from her mouth. I'll enter the race and win. Maybe not first place, but I will beat Rainbow Dash.
You're joking,
She
right?
hates losing, and if I beat her, she'll be so angry.
You're
Then when she
joking.
realizes what she gave up, she'll wish she could have adopted me when she had the chance. It's the perfect plan. I can't fail. I was able to keep up with her during the training, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. I don't care if I get first place, as long as Rainbow Dash feels the shame and humility I felt each and every time I tried to be sincere. Watch out, Rainbow Dash. You're about to hate what you created. Scootaloo was blinded with rage. Her logic was distorted, but to her, this made sense. She was determined to make Rainbow Dash feel the pain she felt in the most humiliating way possible. And that way was beating Rainbow Dash at the one thing she cares about most, winning. A devious smile curled across Scootaloo's lips, and as she watched the raindrops hit the window, she slowly drifted off into peaceful slumber, leaning to the quiet, peaceful pitter-patter of the rain hitting the glass next to her. Okay, um,
Video would pause, which I think is... No,
that's it.
it hasn't. Pause, please.
Hope you
Pause.
like it.
No. Okay. Paused. I'm on the verge of tears right now. I honestly thought I was going to go through this story without coming this close to crying. I started, like, the first 2 minutes of this fanfic, for this chapter, I was paying, well, not the first 2 minutes, but, like, first minute and a half, maybe first minute, but I was paying attention to the song. Then I started listening to tuning into the fanfic and tuning in with the song, and my God, the hell that Scootaloo has been through. My God. I would have probably kept on crying if he had, would have started crying if he didn't end the chapter the way he did. The next chapter is the last one, and I don't think it's going to be very good. Because I think I might know what's going to happen at the end of this. And I totally forgot about Zealous as well. He's only mentioned once in chapter 1, and then he's just thrown away. I was going to say something at the end about character development about him, but now I can't. My God. I'm going to continue on, but honestly, I think this chapter is probably like the best chapter out of all of them. The other four on top have just been like dark. This one's been sad, depressing almost. I mean, I don't know what to say. I didn't even speak this whole chapter almost, except for when Scootaloo was... My God. But I'm going to continue on and see what's going to happen. And like I said, I don't own the song, and I'm probably going to get copyright notices due to that song that I don't want, but I'll have to live with them. So, yeah. Let's move on. And I'm not looking forward to it either.
Today, it is Thursday. Actually,
Let me
it's
turn off the
Wednesday, but I'm reading
annotations.
it on Wednesday.
And oh
so
God,
I can upload it on
hold on,
Thursday.
actually. Alright guys, he's playing another song for this chapter. He's playing Numb by Linkin Park, and I like that band, so if I do get into the song, I might read it. And Linkin Park doesn't do a lot of sad songs. And I thought I was going to make it out of this video without going into 2 hours, but apparently I'm wrong. This chapter part alone is 34 minutes, so hope you all enjoy. Because I know I'm going to have to go through tremendous amounts of crap to get all these links in here and all this stuff. And I know I'm going to get copyright notices up my face now. But I do this for you guys, so hopefully I don't get banned from YouTube for this one.
A New Beginning.
Oh, I know the song.
Part 1. Revelations.
This is...
It was 3:30 a.m. Scoo was sleeping soundly in her bed when she thought she heard a knock coming from the window next to her.
Turning the volume up now.
She slowly opened her eyes and turned her head to scan where she thought she heard the noise from. She looked and looked, but couldn't find anything. Just then, she turned. Oh my God! I think I know who it is. Just then, she turned her eyes and what looked to be like a filly her age was there, standing behind the glass in her bedroom window. Screw gasped in surprise. She couldn't make out who he, or she, or it was, but she knew it was something, and that something was staring right at her. I know who it is. Screw didn't know what to do. She wanted to scream, but she couldn't, somehow. Both of them were staring at each other. It wasn't until about a minute when the figure looked to the right and slowly walked away and didn't look back. Scoo's heart was racing. She didn't know what was looking at her, but it was something that was able to petrify her in an unknown fear. After a long pause, Scoo finally fell back to sleep, still wondering what it was that was looking at her through the bedroom window. Now, Scootaloo, are you sure you want to try and do this? The nurse pony asked as she was about to remove Scootaloo's cast on her legs. Scoo had nodded with a determined look on her face and said, "Yeah, I'm sure. I've been slowly regaining feeling in them. I know I'll be fine." The nurse pony looked nervous as she continued to take off her cast. "Okay, sweetie. You think you're ready?" Then removed Scootaloo's cast, and Scootaloo's legs drooped down slowly, and her legs began to move back. Scootaloo bent down from the bed she was in, and placed her front hooves out in front of her, and slowly lowered her hind legs onto the ground below. She then shifted her weight to her back legs and began to wobble, trying to maintain her balance. The nurse pony was trying to let Scootaloo do things on her own, but out of instinct, she went in to catch her. "Don't touch me! I'll be fine!" Scootaloo snapped. She was determined to walk, even though it had only been 2 weeks since the operation. She didn't care. If she was going to beat Rainbow Dash, she had to get clearance from her doctor first. And in order to do that, she would have to convince them that she was healthy. "I'm sorry, sweetie. Keep going," the nurse pony said, trying not to upset the filly. Scoo began to tremble as she placed her front hoof in, and then her back foot. Step by step, she struggled, but she pushed herself and pushed herself. Her legs wanted to collapse, but Scoo didn't let them. Come on, Colt, damn it!" She thought to herself as she trembled while walking in the room. It felt like the room was an entire mile, when she only had to walk from bed to the door. Each step was a struggle, but she somehow found a way to deal with it. She finally got to the door and looked back at the nurse pony. "So, how'd I do?" The nurse pony had a concerned look on her face. "Well, good to see that you're walking, but I think a few more days in your bed with some more time with the cast on, and it'll be okay." Scootaloo sighed. "Oh, alright." Scootaloo flew herself back into her bed and laid back. A couple of hours passed when a knock came from the door. "Scootaloo, you have some more visitors." The nurse pony then let in Applebloom and Sweetie Belle. They both obviously had a smile on their face as they walked in. "Hey guys, what's up?" Scootaloo said with a bit of a smile. She still hadn't told her friends that she was leaving in a month, and each time she was with them, it only made her want to tell them even more. The nurse pony left, and the two fillies looked back to make sure the door was closed. Scoo raised an eyebrow and said, Guys, I'm over here." The two fillies then turned back around in a flash, and they both had a concerned look on their face. Sweetie dug her hoof into the tile and bit her lip as she said nervously, "Scootaloo, our parents told us not to tell you this, but we felt like we had to." Scootaloo paused for a moment, thinking of the right words to say to her friend. Avion went missing yesterday, and we
Uh-oh.
haven't found him. We know how important he was to you, so we thought that we shouldn't hide it from you. Sue's eyes went wide in surprise. Just then, she remembered the figure that appeared in the window last night, and she went numb with sudden realization of what she had seen last night. No, that couldn't have been Avion. Could it? No, he's much too scared to even talk to somebody, let alone wander out in the dark by himself, Scooby thought to herself. Appleton then grabbed her out and said, "Don't believe us? Then look for yourself." Appleton flipped the television onto the news channel, and the news companies were still covering the story. Foster Colt and now wanted killer, Avion, went missing yesterday before his court appearance, and is now wanted for the life of 3 ponies, 65-year-old Mrs. Burns and 2 police ponies.
What?
Both were found dead at the scene of the crime.
You're
One
telling me
was
that...
shot multiple times in the chest and twice in the head. The other was found in the dumpster with multiple stab wounds in his neck. Police are advising that if you see this pony, do not try to apprehend him, and instead inform the local authorities. Suspect is believed to be armed and dangerous.
What?
Here is the suspect's mugshot. The television then showed a picture that sent chills down Scootaloo's back. Adrian's head was tilted to the side, and he was smiling an insane, twisted smile. No, that's not Avion. It can't be. At least not the Avion.
Of course, I was lagging, but...
Well, where is he? Bell asked in disbelief. I don't know. Right now. I don't care.
Let's try this again.
I have problems with my... So, what are y'all gonna do, Scoot? Scootaloo let out a sigh. I have something to tell you guys. You might want to sit down for this. Scootaloo spent the whole afternoon explaining to her friends that if she wasn't adopted by the end of the month, that she'd have to leave Ponyville for a long time. She figured they were going to find out eventually, so she might as well tell them while she was still in Ponyville. Wait, what? No, they can't take you. Somebody has to adopt you. You just can't leave, Scootaloo. What will me and Appleton do without you? Sweetbelle had tears flowing from her eyes as she asked this. She didn't want to see her friend leave. You think I want to move? Of course not. But it looks like it's gonna happen. But there are some things I need to take care of before I leave. I think this is where we're gonna have to say goodbye, guys. Appleton looked mad, and Sweetbelle was softly sobbing. Now, wait just a minute there, Scoots. Ever since you've been in the hospital, you've kept nothing but secrets from me and Sweetbelle here. Now, telling me this is where we're gonna say goodbye ain't gonna cut it. I wanna know what happened, and why you've been so secretive all the time. You ain't acting normal, Scoots. I don't like it. We'll leave, but first, we want to know what happened to you the night that you came here. And why you've been acting so strange. Scootaloo wanted to turn them down and say no, right in there. But Appleblom's look on her face persuaded Scootaloo to do otherwise. She sighed. Oh, alright. Fair enough. Maybe now you'll understand why I have to do the things I have to do if I tell you. You guys still have time? Of course, Appleblom said, still with the same determined look on her face. It was 10 p.m. The sun had already set, and the stars were barely visible in the sky. School had just finished explaining to our friends everything that went on while they were gone during the summer break, all the way up until today. Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle both had their mouths agape in disbelief at the incredible story their friend had just told them. A couple moments passed and Sweetie Belle finally spoke up. I don't get it. Why into the race if you never liked professional flying to begin with? That is something I feel needs to happen. And I already told you, I want to beat Rainbow Dash and make her feel jealous of me before I leave. God, that just sounds terrible. But I thought you really liked Rainbow Dash. I thought you two were really close. Scooter looked down and sighed. I thought so too. But it looks like I was just another Pegasus passing by. To her, at least. I don't know why, but I feel as though I have to do this. Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom looked at each other in surprise. They couldn't believe what Scootaloo was telling them. This wasn't the Scootaloo they knew. This was somebody else. It had to be. Scootaloo they knew always wore a smile when they were together. Now, a smile from Scootaloo was a rare sight to behold. Apple Bloom figured that the laughter and happiness that was between them was beaten out of her by her abusive foster mom. Even though she might be dead, the pain still resonated strongly inside of Scootaloo. Well, okay, Scoots, whatever makes you happy. Just know that your friends are here to support you every step of the way. And we'll be there to see you win in that race, okay? Apple Bloom had a smile on her face in an attempt to cheer up her fellow Crusader and friend. Scootaloo only looked up with a depressed frown. Yeah, okay guys, thanks. You don't have to come to the race though. It's just something I feel as though I have to do. But, thanks anyways. Apple Bloom was a bit disappointed that Scootaloo didn't smile back, but she did her best to keep the little happiness Scootaloo had alive. Alright, Scoots, well, we better be heading now. And me and Sweetie will definitely show up to your race and root for you. Yeah, thanks guys. See you later. And on that, the two fillies quietly exited the room and proceeded to go home. Scootaloo looked at the ceiling before falling into a deep sleep. She only had a week for the race. She was ready, and it was not going to lose, even if it really killed her. Okay, that's chapter 6, part A, and let's see, I'm about 12 minutes in, so, yeah, that's not really that long. Pause, edit the first part, and then come back to chapter 6B, and this will be the last part of the story. So yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm back. It says for the last part,
You're joking, right? Another song?
don't save, that I am supposed to both play Catalyst by Linkin Park and Waiting for the End by Linkin Park.
You're making this
I can play
difficult
mine
on
in a
me!
second, but I don't know if I'm supposed to just loop in between the songs or if I'm supposed to play them at a certain point or what. Because it's two different songs, so I don't know. So this is pretty much a Linkin Park episode, because there's three Linkin Park songs in it. But whatever, man. It's all good.
Come on.
Um,
I would like to get through this before 2 hours hits.
yeah. Let's,
Actually, I've been sitting here for like 3 now.
finish up this awesome story. Let's see if Avion makes it out alive. If Scootaloo
Hold on, guys.
beats Remming Part 2 Equinox.
Equinox? Okay.
Morning dawned upon Ponyville, and every pony was eagerly awaiting the Pegasi of the decade race this very day. School woke up around 11 a.m. and got her belongings ready for the race, since she was, unfortunately, still unadopted. A knock came from the door as Scootaloo was finishing up packing the rest of her belongings. Scootaloo, are you ready? The nurse pony asked. Yeah, I guess so. So, my train leaves at 5, right? Yep, that's right. Good luck at the race. The nurse pony then handed Scootaloo her train ticket, then proceeded to leave. Scootaloo looked out the window of her room and took whatever bit of Ponyville she could see for the last time. She looked outside and saw the flowing green grass, the tall hills that surrounded Ponyville and caused beautiful sunsets in the evening. Memories of Scootaloo and her friends played in the back of her head as she looked out the window and reminisced of her days in Ponyville. With a depressed look on her face, she sighed and proceeded to leave the hospital. Once out, she looked back at the hospital one last time. Though it may not have been the place where a good memory was made, it was still a memory of Ponyville. She wanted to take every little bit of her hometown before she left. Her next stop was Ponyville Square. Every pony was busy going about their own way. There was a ballot box to place bets of certain ponies lined up everywhere. One of the boxes had Spitfire, the current leader of the Wonderbolts,
Well, you're gonna lose
lying
there,
next to
Scootaloo.
Soren and the other members of the Wonderbolts team.
Yeah.
What have I gotten myself into? She
Yeah.
thought to herself as she continued her walk through town. It was the afternoon when Scootaloo finally arrived at the starting point of her 50-mile race.
God.
Pegasi were there. Famous flyers, some looked to be like trainers, others looked to be like just common Pegasi wanting to compete. Scootaloo felt inferior, but then a familiar blue Pegasus showed up at the start point and began to do some stretches. Just then, Scootaloo remembered the whole reason why she had entered the race in the first place, and immediately wore a look of anger on her face. Scootaloo felt a tap on her back and turned around to see two familiar little fillies with smiles on their faces. Hey, Scoots. Good luck out there. I hope you do just fine. We believe in you. Scootaloo dropped the sudden hostility she had and tried her best to calm down as she didn't want to upset her friend. Oh, hey guys. You made it. Glad you could make it. Scootaloo didn't know what to say. She was going to have to leave right after the race, but she wanted her friends to know that she still cared about them. The words and actions just couldn't be expressed at the time. An awkward silence grew between them until Applebloom decided to break it. Well, Scoots, we'll be in the stands rooting for you. Good luck. Thanks, guys. It means a lot to me. You didn't have to come. Applebloom and Sweetie Belle headed to the stands, and Scootaloo got in the starting position and began stretching. She looked around and noticed that she was the only filly to compete. Her pony her age was seen among the crowd of Pegasi. As she looked, she noticed some were awkwardly staring at her, most likely in disbelief that a Pegasi of her age would even think to compete in a race like this. Now what would a little filly do with 100,000 bits? Scootaloo heard this and immediately turned back to see who said it. She couldn't find him or her and turned back around, still mad at the insult that was poorly disguised. Scootaloo finished her stretching, and as she did, the announcer pony stood up in the big box next to the stands and began to start the race.
Fillies and Gentlecorps, welcome to the first annual Pegasi of the Decade race. A race that will sure to leave you speechless as the weak are weeded out amongst the strong. Some ponies will not be able to finish the race, others will collapse out of exhaustion, and
Well,
only one will remain, and that one will be the pony to claim the Pegasi of the Decade title in the Pegasi Hall of Fame. So without further ado, on your marks.
Scoo and all the other racers knelt down in preparation.
Get set.
Scoo and the others placed their good hoof in order to get a more powerful takeoff. Scoo looked to her left and right and saw Rainbow Dash a couple paces next to her. Rainbow Dash wasn't even bothered by Scootaloo being so close. She looked determined, so Scootaloo went back to focusing on the long race ahead of her. Scootaloo's heart pounded, each
I'm interested
beat
now.
getting louder and louder. Everything seemed to slow down and seem quieter. The roaring audience was silenced, and the sound of her rhythmic heartbeat was the only thing that she heard. Just then, a gunshot and the word
Go!
hit Scootaloo's ears as she shot off in a blaze of speed. There was at least 100 Pegasi that entered and suddenly burst in a speed that sent a strong and powerful wind that almost sent some ponies backwards at the sudden force. The first part of the race was the longest, a 35-mile dash across Ponyville to Canterlot. Scootaloo was in 35th place at the time, flying high and maintaining her speed.
Ironic.
As she was flying, one Pegasus, who appeared to be the member of the Wonderbolts, nudged Scootaloo, almost knocking her off balance. The Pegasi laughed and said, "You might as well fly home, kid. Let the big ponies handle the race." Scootaloo then flew around the Pegasi multiple times, each time circling him faster and faster until the force from her circling was so great, it sent the Wonderbolt spinning in a very fast loop to the ground below. Scootaloo then flew back into her position and continued on with the race. She finally reached Canterlot, and multiple Pegasi could be seen resting on the ground below. Scootaloo wanted to rest, but she needed to catch up with Rainbow Dash. I don't understand. Why is he part of the Wonderbolts if there's so many people already ahead of him? Obviously, they need to recast for the Wonderbolts. The next part of the race was ascending to 15,000 feet and free-falling to the bottom of Ghastly Gorge.
What?
She climbed and climbed and finally made it to the cloud that informs the Pegasi that they reached the required altitude. She was surprised at being in second place and still not finding Rainbow Dash. She was somewhat amazed at herself for how far she came just because she told herself that she needed to pass Rainbow Dash no matter what place she was in. Just as she would pass the checkpoint cloud, Rainbow Dash could be seen standing atop a cloud, panting and wheezing out of exhaustion. Just then, Rainbow Dash's eyes and Scootaloo's met. Everything seemed to be in slow motion as Scootaloo was about to descend. Rainbow Dash said something, but Scootaloo couldn't hear it as she dropped face first, aiming towards the gorge below. Scootaloo looked back and saw Rainbow Dash falling face first as well. Scootaloo laughed and said, "Face it, Rainbow Dash, I've won! The student has beat the master." Rainbow Dash had a grin on her face as she fell. "You forgot something, kid." Scootaloo had a confused look on her face.
Sonic
She was
Rainbow.
obviously winning, so she didn't know what Rainbow Dash could be referring to. "Oh yeah? Well, what is that exactly?" Rainbow Dash with a grin said, "That I was the one that taught you." Just then, Rainbow Dash put her front hoof behind her, closed her wings, and proceeded to Sonic Rainbow right before Scootaloo.
Bye-bye, Scootaloo.
Blast caused Scootaloo to be knocked off balance, and she was sent falling off balance in a rapid descent, flailing about this way and that. Scootaloo was angry. She almost had Rainbow Dash. She felt an anger unlike she had ever experienced before. An anger so intense, so enraging, so passionate, that it almost burned. She didn't know what it was, but this anger she was feeling hurt, and she didn't know how to stop it. Her whole body stung and was screaming with pain. Just then, her mane and her tail turned into a dancing bright red flame. I knew it!
What?
Her eyes from purple to red, and a trail of fire could be seen spewing from behind her. She caught herself in midair and shot off into a burst of speed no pony in quest she had seen before. She followed the rainbow trail Rainbow Dash had left and disintegrated it with the unbelievably extreme heat she was giving off. She shot past Rainbow, who was almost at the bottom, until the force from Scootaloo's sonic boom sent Rainbow flying and hitting the bottom of the ghastly gorge so hard that it left a small crater from the impact.
Jesus
Scootaloo
Christ.
didn't know what was happening or how. She just knew that she was beating Rainbow Dash, and she enjoyed this very much. She scraped the bottom of the ghastly gorge in a swift motion and shot up for the last part of the race. Another climb of 15,000 feet to Cloudsdale. Scootaloo wasn't sure how, but she felt different, like she had control of herself, but she didn't. She shot straight up to Cloudsdale and a giant vertical line of fire lit up the skies. And all of Equestria was able to witness the breathtaking sight. She passed the finish line in a blaze of speed, lighting the finish banner on fire before taking a victory lap as she was celebrating. A sharp and brutal pain
Thought this would be
attacked
a
her
dark
chest
and
violently.
sad
She
fanfic.
felt as though her organs were eating her. A sharp pain after another sharp pain.
Never mind.
She couldn't continue. She couldn't take it anymore. She clenched her stomach and screamed at the top of her lungs as she didn't know what was going on, but severely wanted it to stop. She tried to lay on top of a nearby cloud to save herself from using her wings, but the pain kept gnawing at her. She let out another blood-curdling scream before collapsing in midair. Her mane and tail turned back into the regular purple, and her eyes were no longer red. She was now falling down to the ground, unconscious and unaware of what was happening. Rainbow Dash was still pretty shooken up about what had happened earlier, and she could barely stand. She opened her eyes to see what appeared to be a black figure falling from Cloudsdale. She immediately sat up and realized that it was Scootaloo. She mouthed to herself, "Oh no," before taking off as fast as she could after being hit so hard. Scootaloo was falling faster and faster, and Rainbow Dash was struggling to build up enough speed. It looked like the worst was about to happen until suddenly, out of nowhere, another sonic rainbow emitted from Rainbow Dash, and she shot at Scootaloo with a burst of speed, grabbing Scootaloo in time and unwillingly landing a bit too hard. Rainbow Dash hit the ground hard and released Scootaloo, sending the village from a bit.
Oh, don't you dare lag.
Scootaloo was unconscious, and Rainbow Dash was getting weaker. She struggled to get up, but she limped Scootaloo to look at her. "Hey, kid, don't quit on me now. You want..." Rainbow Dash stopped at the horrible sight that was before her. She turned over Scootaloo, who was originally laying on her side, to reveal to Rainbow Dash Scootaloo with her eyes rolled back, glazed over with profuse amount of vomit and blood that had been released from her mouth. Rainbow Dash had tears coming from her eyes. "Scoots?" Rainbow Dash was only able to let out that name before grabbing Scootaloo close to her body and screaming for help. "Kid, look at me! Look at me, Colt, damn it!" Rainbow Dash shook Scootaloo in hopes that she would somehow regain consciousness. She was wailing now. "No! Kid! You're a fighter! I've seen you fight! Fight for me one last time! Don't you leave me, Scootaloo! Don't leave me! Somebody! Help!" Rainbow Dash wasn't aware of it, but Scootaloo had used up all the fight she had left in her. Scootaloo was gone. Luckily, some nurse ponies from Cloudsdale noticed what had happened and brought a stretcher and rushed Scootaloo to the nearest hospital. It was 7:30 p.m. Rainbow Dash was sitting in the waiting room of Cloudsdale Hospital, nervously awaiting the operation that went for hours.
At least she can pay for it.
Doctor came
I'm sorry,
and
guys.
called for Rainbow Dash. She sat up immediately, rushed over to where the doctor was. "So, Doc, how is she?" Rainbow Dash said nervously. The doctor sighed. I honestly don't know how she lived. By some abounding grace, this young filly survived having her pancreas quite literally explode within her. A normal body of an adult pony isn't even supposed to punish this far.
Wow.
Yet somehow, this filly was able to overcome what is scientifically and physically until now impossible. This filly is a modern miracle to both science and humanity, or ponanemy in this case. Rainbow Dash chuckled, remembering how hard Scootaloo pushed during her training, and how no amount of pain or fatigue seemed to even shake her. Yeah, that does sound like Scootaloo, alright. So, you're saying that she's gonna be alright,
No.
right? She's gonna be okay?
No.
Well, she did survive.
Okay.
She's yet to regain consciousness, though.
I wonder why.
All we can do now is wait and have her on that machine until she wakes up. She's come this far. She won't give up. I know this filly. Surviving a pancreas attack is only a fraction of what she's capable of.
Huh.
Rainbow Dash then went into the room where Scootaloo was being hospitalized in. She got into the room and placed a hoof to her mouth at the gut-wrenching sight before her. It was Scootaloo, mouth agape, holding what appeared to be a tube that was causing her to breathe in and out. She was hooked up to so many pieces of machinery, it was almost impossible to even see the poor filly. Her eyes were closed, and she was in a deep sleep. Rainbow Dash walked over to the bed and sat to the
Don't you dare.
student,
You're in the last 3
who
minutes.
was choking in tears, and tried her best not to cry. She grabbed the Scootaloo's hoof and placed it in hers as she leaned in and said, "Hey, kid, I don't know if you can hear me, but..." Rainbow Dash paused because she was beginning to let out more and more tears. "You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I love you more than flying. More than the Wonderbolts themselves. And if you leave me, I'll never forgive myself.
This seems quite familiar.
I should have told you this more often. I know. But Rainbow Dash couldn't hold it in. She wept softly. Don't leave me, kid. Just don't. You're my student, but I want to be more than that.
There's a way.
I want you to be my daughter."
Yay! I saw that coming.
Beep. 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 Beep.
I'll kill you.
Beep. Beep. Heartbeat slowly beat, and Scootaloo could be seen with her eyes still closed, but a smile spread wide across her face, as if those very words caused a smile to spread across Scootaloo's face. That happy, unbreakable smile Rainbow Dash saw each time she was with the student. It had been a while before Scootaloo smiled, but somehow, like everything else, she managed.
Is that it?
That was awesome.
Okay. That's over. I knew it would end up 2.5 hours long, but for me it was 3, because I had to keep pausing and switching videos and all the comments in between, but okay, I'm gonna say, that was a great fanfic. Now, you all might not get my initial reaction, but you guys told me it was a sad story.
Now, you were kind of correct, but I found this story more dark than I did sad. I saw more dark elements into it than I did sad elements. Like I said, the only chapter that I found really sad was chapter 5, and the entire story. The only one that had really got me close to tears. Did I break something? No, okay. But it was the only one that had got me close to even remotely coming close to tears. Now, before you guys say I don't have a soul or anything like that, remember this. Everyone has their own opinion on things. So, and like I said, I like to joke around with a lot of crap. You could clearly hear me saying at the end of chapter 6 that, now that Scootaloo's won the race, she can afford the operation with the 100,000 bits. I make fun of a lot of things. But if the story was changed around where this is something to do with Fluttershy and probably someone else, I probably would have cried. No offense, but trust me. If it involves a person's favorite, it's a lot different than it's not their favorite. So, yeah, no offense, but this story was great. I loved it to death. Now, editing in all the descriptions and the link and hoping to God that I don't get banned from YouTube is going to be a problem. And saving this is also going to be a problem now that I think about it, but oh well. Now, also, this fanfic, okay, it left a lot of things unanswered. Unless he didn't continue reading it, unless I stopped too early, but what happened to Avion? Honestly, I'm still questioning that. Avion, okay, he killed her out of self-defense. He was gonna probably get let off scot-free. But I don't see how. He kills 2 guards. With a gun? Okay. Oh, I heard 6 shots are fired, right? 4 of them in one pony's chest and the other 2 in the head. For starters, the kid was too shy to talk to someone. The motion to pick up a gun and shoot 2 ponies down? Yeah, that sounds like Avion, alright. But he did kill Mrs. Burns, but he killed her out of self-defense. I'm still questioning that. Well, now he is going to go to jail for those 2 murders, but he would have gotten off scot-free, almost. Yeah, probably sure. He would have went to maybe a mental hospital for some psychological crap that I don't know exactly for, but I don't know. And then the story foreshadowed a lot. And of course, you can easily guess how sad stories are going to end. It's going to be good in the end. You just don't know how it's going to get there. But actually, this story, I couldn't keep up with it to foreshadow it. That ending, I actually did think that Scootaloo was going to die at the end. And the way she lived, honestly, is impossible. Having your pancreas explode, you can't live that. You can't. Scootaloo being alive surprises me. So, yeah, I hope you guys got what you wanted out of this, but this is going to be I'm not going to say it. This is just going to be a nightmare for me to edit and record descriptions and links and all that, so yeah. Hopefully I don't get banned from YouTube, but oh well. As you all know, this video not even be released until weeks after I did it, so yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been my reaction to When Heroes Aren't There to Save You. I hope you guys liked it, because I can't really say anything else afterwards, because most of my reaction was after chapters were finished reading, so yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. This has been the Tycoda Project, my reaction to When Heroes Aren't There to Save You. That's 4 off the list and 2 more to go, and those 2 are Epic Derp Time, The Incredible Derp, and then... oh,